The film, based on a number of other films, opens with a quote from the Codex of the Yautja, an alien race of space hunters. The Yautja are neither prey nor allies, but predators of all. On Yautja Prime, the race's home planet, the young warrior Dek travels to the mountains to undergo the first of the tests to become Yautja. Using his laser pillar to lift himself up, Dek sneaks into the cave where his older brother Kei is hiding, using his signature camouflage. The brothers arrange a laser sword fight, during which the small and fragile Dek confidently defeats the older one. Kei simultaneously gives advice to the younger ones: be smart by using the environment. When the defeated Dek refuses to give up, Kei throws him into the abyss. However, the young warrior clings to the sheer wall and climbs up to continue the race. The brothers then return to Kei's ship. Guard the children's toy Yautja. Dek once broke his teeth because of her, but saved his brother's life. To undergo the initiation rite and earn camouflage, becoming a full member of the clan, Dek must go on an independent hunt and bring back a trophy. Despised for his small size and weakness in front of the rest of his relatives, he chooses as his target a small cat from the planet Genna, a monster whom even their father is afraid of. Dad himself immediately boards the ship. He is disappointed that Kei did not kill the stunted Dek during training. Having tied up the youngest son, the father orders the eldest to kill his brother. Raising his sword to strike, Kei cuts the rope and throws his brother into the hold of the ship, trapping him inside. Angered by the disobedience, the father attacks Kei. During the fight, he cuts off his son's hand. The wounded Yautja, with his final gesture, orders the ship to go to Genna so that his brother can undergo initiation. Before he flies away, Dek discovers his father cutting off Kei's head. Initially knocked unconscious by the impact, Dek regains consciousness as the ship lands on Genna. The sight glass, shattered by space debris, cracks, forcing the hunter to eject from his seat. During the fight, the alien guest is greeted by local wildlife, which unsuccessfully tries to devour him. The escape capsule lands right in the forest. After looking around, Dek vows to get the trophies from the cart in Kei's name. A warrior checks his equipment and weapons when movement occurs deep in the forest. Curious vines crawl up to the newcomer from all sides and take away his toys. Dek decides to fight back with his sword and ingenuity. However, the enemy clearly has superior forces, which forces the predator to think about a tactical retreat. Having made a deceptive maneuver, Dek runs one vine at a time to the top of the rock in order to overcome it. Wooden tentacles no longer reach as far. Almost cut off from the flora, Yuji decides to rush towards the fauna. While treating the wound, he notices a snail on a leaf. My hands start to swell. Dek barely manages to throw it away before it hits like a grenade. The predator's search leads the predator to a field where plants covered with pine needles grow. When someone approaches, their heads swell, threatening to explode into a swarm of needles. Dek moves carefully between the plants so as not to provoke them. But a flying scavenger lizard, which has a nest nearby, intervenes and throws a stone from above, provoking the release of needles. Having escaped, Yuji moves on. From a lizard's nest, he receives advice from a woman tied there named Tia. She begs to be released. When the bird starts a chain reaction of plant explosions using a rock bomb, Dek tries to escape but fails. The needle hits him and the poison begins to take effect. With the last of his strength, he throws a throwing knife at Tia. The cleaner rushes to the exhausted Deka, but is saved by the freed Tia. After soaking the lizard, she revives Yuji using a local herbal antidote. At this point, it is revealed that Tia is an android from the Weyland-Yutani Company. More precisely, half of an android. She has nothing but trouble behind her. Tia reveals that she is the only survivor of Aliska's attack. She promises to show Deka the monster's lair if he takes her with him. Her legs were still there. After all, even an android has a dream, to kick someone. Since he hunts alone according to Yuji's code, Dek calls the girl a tool and drags her along, not hesitating to give her a lift when necessary. As they pass through a river gorge, they see several small lizards spewing acid. After crossing the danger zone, Tia announces that they're just hungry and throws them a handful of berries. The predator does not eat, it hunts. Dek later makes a belt for his companion to make him easier to carry on his back. After spending the night, Tia says they were sent here to study the local flora and fauna. That's why she knows so much about this planet. To understand the habits of animals, only 2 androids received increased sensitivity, she and Tessie, identical models. but they were separated during a research expedition when the detachment was attacked by Kalisk. Meanwhile, the damaged Tessa is being repaired at the base. While her mechanical flesh regenerates, the Weyland-Yutani authorities contact her, reminding her of her mission to capture Kalisk alive for further study. Tessie also reveals that there's a Yaoja on the planet who could cause problems as a competitor, and that Tia is with him. In the morning, Dek and Tia come to the field with a blade of grass with pointed leaves. Noticing an armored rhinoceros wandering through the grass, Yaoja is eager to kill it for a trophy. But I haven't figured out how to do this yet. Then a funny little creature, devoid of fear, is attached to them. He growls in response to Dek's growl. In addition, the creature has strong armor. Curled up into a ball, she calmly rolled across the grass, smashing it. When the ball spooks the rhinos, Dek follows them through the trees to jump onto the brow of the neck. But the attempt ended with the monster throwing the hunter into a tree. A small creature then appears and is caught by December. But dismantling had to be postponed. A mega rhinoceros rushes towards them. With a well-aimed throw of a laser sword, the hunter cuts the animal in half, taking its entrails as a trophy. But the joy turned out to be premature. The tall monster's tongue grabs him and drags him to where the toothy mouth hides. Dek, with his hands tied, cannot reach the weapon, but then a small bun appears. Jumping into the ball's mouth, he uses his tough skin to rip out huge creatures from his teeth. Having abandoned its prey, the three-legged giant land octopus pursues the intruder. Dek, having cut down the tree, pursues the creature itself, not to save the bun, but to get the trophy. From the falling trunk, he jumps onto the octopus and chops it with his sword until the wounds become completely incompatible with life. Meanwhile, Tessa's squad searches for Dek's landing site while clearing the forest of aggressive tentacles in a show of coordinated and skillful teamwork. In the evening, they reach K's crashed ship nearby, where they find examples of Yaoja weapons, including a Fatality Sub-Zero model freeze grenade and a shoulder laser. Settling down at a rest stop, Tia names the Bun Storm. As he enters the lineup, he spits at December. Thus, the animal marks him as part of his pack. But he doesn't need a herd. In the morning, Dek takes the android and leaves, leaving Storm asleep. Near the waterfall, the hunter encounters a huge tooth on the shore. Insulted that he abandoned Storm, Tia does not want to say which creature and tooth belong to him. But under threat of being abandoned, the android shows miracles of observation. She knows that Dek's father killed his brother. Tia tells the predator about land wolves and how the alpha male gathers a pack around him, hinting that he might do the same. During the day, the pair arrive at the site of an epic battle, where Kalisk attacks Tia's group. Among the piles of destroyed androids, she finds legs. Recovering in mobile workshop, Tia sends a signal to the base, then admits to Deku that she deceived him. The company needs Kalisk, so no one will let him be killed. Upset by the betrayal, Yaoja spots a fuel container outside and causes an explosion, attracting the attention of a local monster. Kalisk is called to join the battle. Deku easily manages to rip open his stomach and cut off his tail, but no luck. He has incredible regeneration that allows him to heal wounds faster than Marvel's mock races. Using Yaoja, Kalisk interrupts Tia's repairs. She lost her legs again. She distracts the monster with machine gun fire, while Dek uses a winch and grappling hook to lasso the animal. But even a severed head immediately grows back, as if nothing had happened. Cradle is ready to swallow Dek, but suddenly freezes, sniffing him. At this moment, Tessa appears with cryogenic grenades and freezes both aliens. On the way to the base, she tortures Dek into revealing the secrets of the ship's weapons. Tia begs her android twin sister to spare her new boyfriend, but she refuses. She doesn't like Tia's sentimentality. When Tessa leaves, leaving the captive in charge, Tia tricks him into activating the deadly Yaoja toy and helps Deku escape the transport. Dek collects homemade weapons from the local nature, leaves, a knife, herbs, cobs with needles, exploding snails. He even feeds acid-spewing lizards to tame them. At sight of the final battle with Kalisk, the hunter meets Storm and realizes that it is Kalisk's cub looking for its mother. Dek then activates Tia and Beacon on the thrown legs to make them return to the top half on their own. Tia herself is kept in an isolated box at the base to ensure nothing else happens. Suddenly, the soldier guarding her gets a hole in his chest from spitting acid. Dek uses Lizard. Yaoja and Storm then give the island Yutani guards an aptitude test, which they masterfully fail. They simply cannot cope with 2.5 invaders. The ass-kicking Tia is responsible for half of it, but Gene Droid takes an active part in the beating. Tessa, commander of the ship's specimens, hears the Yaoja's alarm and decides to personally join the mutiny. She guides the recent squad towards the target, but Deck lures them into a trap with explosive bullets in a corridor of containers. One spit, and the squad died. Then Tessa, the boss of the level, appears on a forklift with an exoskeleton. A shot from a captured shoulder laser is intercepted by a sausage-fried tame lizard. At this moment, the freed Tai Kalisk joins Makak. The monster jumps onto the exoskeleton, receiving a circular wound. As Tessa intends to freeze the monster with a cryogenic grenade, Counterdeck throws the projectile directly at the squad's arm, freezing the exoskeleton's arm. This allows Kalisk to break his arm, rip the robot into pieces, and swallow Tessa. After the victory, all four meet at the destroyed base. Kalisk welcomes Deck as a companion, but suddenly freezes inside and explodes, falling into pieces, so that no amount of regeneration will save him from the tricks of the swallowed Tessa. She aims her shoulder laser at her sister, but doesn't have time to shoot Deck's impalers. Taking his brother's laser, Yaoja consoles the orphan Storm, for whom he is now the only relative. After completing the hunt, Deck returns to Yaoja Prime directly to his clan to receive the camouflage due to him. He returned the skull to the android, almost invisible to Yaoja's natural infrared vision. The father orders 2 henchmen to kill the shameful weakling, but the son kills the guards in a fair fight. After activating the disguise, Father himself rushes into battle. The Deck turns on the ship's engine, raising a cloud of dust in which Betty's silhouette can be seen in camouflage. In a private fight, having cut off his own hand, the young man activates a trap, then takes the mask from the older man. Imbued with respect, Dad offers him a place in the clan, but Deck replies that he already has his own clan. At his command, his friend Storm bites off the old Yaoja's head. Deck, Tia, and Storm see a ship descending towards a settlement where Deck's mother has arrived. This is where the film ends.